Hey, it's Amanda, and I help nonprofits navigate the digital space to make a greater impact online so that they can build awareness and increase their funding. Today, we're going to talk about branding for nonprofits. Before we get started, I don't want you to miss out on the 4 biggest things nonprofits aren't doing yet that will increase your donations and impact instantly. You can grab that in the link below. So just like any small business or big business out there, the most important thing, and I know you've probably heard this or maybe you haven't, but the most important thing is that you know who your target audience is. And I don't just mean like a vague idea about who your target audience is, because when I ask nonprofits, who's your target audience? They often say, anybody that's gonna donate is my target audience. And I get that. However, if we really focus on a specific person, when we are building out our brand and speaking to people and building out our messaging, we're gonna have a greater impact on people that are like that person or similar to that person, or even have any sort of vein of similarities within that person. It really impacts somebody in a very different way when they feel like you're actually speaking to them rather than just broad brushing a huge audience. So knowing who we're talking to is really, really important. So we wanna make sure that, and it might not just be one person. You might say, well, I actually have 3 sort of typical people that I talk to, and that's okay. You're allowed to have, 1 to 3. But I wouldn't really go past that. I think 3 is kind of the max we wanna focus on, but you wanna really know who they are. So you're actually thinking in your head when you're building things out and you're doing your copywriting or your messaging or your visuals for whatever you're doing, that you're thinking about Sarah, right? Sarah, the single mom who's struggling with X, Y, and Z. So we want to make sure that we're really, really focused on an individual. So we want to really think about who that person is. We want to give them a name. We want to actually imagine them in our head. What is their life like? Who are we speaking to? So I think that's really important. And it's one thing I think nonprofits really miss out on because they often just broad paint everybody with one brush, but it's really important to sort of niche down and really focus on a person. Another thing that we really want to think about and understand is that branding isn't just a logo. So a lot of people, when they think of a brand, they think of it's the logo for the organization. That's not really what it is. Yes, it is a brand and is part of your branding, but branding is a holistic view of basically every single thing you're doing that reaches out to an audience. So it includes your website, it includes your copywriting, it includes your emails, it includes your Facebook, your Instagram, it includes the way that you present things, it includes how you do things within your organization. It's sort of the vibe that you guys have. It is sort of every single thing that touches your organization is part of your branding and is part of who you are and what you stand for. So we want to make sure that whatever that is, that you're showcasing that on all of those different levels and all of those different ways. It's really important that people can see who you are all the time and they understand that when they see your nonprofit that you stand for X, Y, and Z. And it's really important to actually stand for something, right? So often nonprofits, because there's such competition and you're sort of in this sea of nonprofits, you need to stand for something. You need to push harder and you need to stand out from them. How are you gonna do that? The only way to stand out is by being a little more strong, a little more dramatic with your branding, right? So we have to kind of think about what are those things going to be. There's got to be ways to really connect with your audience in a way that's going to make them see you instead of just kind of scrolling through or not clicking on you in the Google search, right? What are we saying that's going to make them stop and go, oh, this is different. I'm really noticing this one. What's happening here? I need to know about this. So that's what we have to think about in all aspects of our branding, from visuals to copy to internal, everything. The other thing we're seeing online is that there is a little bit of a mistrust happening with some organizations. So people are getting a little more wary about who they actually donate money to. So that's why branding is so important. We want to make sure that we're building trust, we're building that sort of relationship with the audience so that they feel good about actually handing over money to your nonprofit. So it's just really, really crucial that when we build out our branding, that we're thinking about how people navigate in that digital space and sort of that trust that's happening. So we want to make sure that we are very well trusted and we use branding to actually do that. So it always comes down to the executive director because they are the leader of the organization and they have to make sure that internally and externally that brand messaging is consistent and it is trusting and is doing all the things that you all want to do to lead people through and be able to donate to you in a really easy way. So the executive director has to be a really strong leader that understands that branding is super important and that they can take all of these different ways and tools and all those things and use their people internally to become an efficient branding machine. A great way to also help with that trust factor is to be really clear, honest, transparent about where that money is going when they donate to you. When they give you funds, what is actually happening with the money? So there should be a place maybe on your website or maybe in a report structure that you do. A lot of nonprofits do an annual report that explains certain things, but instead of annually, maybe if it was like sort of a monthly thing that you did a blog post and explained exactly what was happening with the money every month so that people can go, this is exactly what they're doing with their money. And I love this, and I love that I know exactly what they're doing with their money so that I feel good about handing money over to them because I can see exactly what's happening. So showcasing where the money is going is a great way to build trust. Also, including all of these things, when we're thinking about where we're actually putting our message online, it's really important to, again, go back to that first thing I talked about, which was your target audience. Where are they? So once we know who they are, then we know where we need to be in order to share our message with them. So Instagram maybe isn't the right place for every audience. Facebook might not be the right place. Maybe LinkedIn is the greatest place. Maybe you're actually really focused on a younger generation, so you're really looking at Snapchat. Or maybe it's how am I getting them to my website? So we're looking at really pushing our messaging out on using Google Ads or something like that, or blog posting. So there's so many ways, but we have to know who we're talking to so that we know exactly where we're pushing our message out so that we can attract that perfect audience. So those are just some of the ways to focus on branding for nonprofits. So before you go, grab my 4 biggest things nonprofits aren't doing yet that will increase your donations and impact instantly. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you. If you can do me an amazing favor, I would love it if you like, subscribe, or comment below and tell me, out of all of these branding ideas, what one of those really kind of set that light bulb off for you and made you go, you know what, I really want to do that, I really want to try that. I'd love to hear it. Or if you have an idea or a way that you're doing branding in a different way, please share it with us. The more we share, the more we help one another. So I would love to hear about it, and we'll see if maybe I can do a video about it in a later date.